So I feel like when it comes to my more recent views on voting and on where your faith belongs in politics, I think a lot of people are either too caught up in what they were taught, and they think what they were taught is the correct way because it's what they've heard from their parents, grandparents, and from everyone else. Or B, these people are just not that strong in their faith. And a lot of it, I think, comes from me being very misunderstood. And I think I'm misunderstood because maybe a lot of people don't understand where my views come from. So to help explain my position on this, and before I pretty much re-say my position on this, let me start from the beginning and clear up some confusion along the way. So I used to be a Democrat. I used to spew Democratic talking points. Not because I believed them, not because they represented my values or my parents' values. Black people are typically Democrats because we're taught to be Democrats. Literally. The Republican Party never bothered trying to convince us otherwise. And I think a lot of people get this confused because when people think of the word Democrats and liberals, they think everybody is just like the crazy liberals. But let me maybe inform a lot of y'all on something. A lot of black people vote Democrat, but it's not common to find black liberals. And I think this is where a lot of conservatives misunderstand the political dynamics in the black community. If you actually have a conversation with a black person, you'll quickly realize black people are not liberal. Even if they spew the liberal talking points, that's only because they heard from CNN. If you have the conversation, they're not liberal. Listen, if you go in the black community and on average start asking people what are their pronouns, people are not going to know what the crap you are talking about. Black people are not going to understand what the crap you're talking about when you talk about pronouns. Go ask a black person if they think a grown adult male should be playing in sports with women. They're going to all look at you crazy, like, of course not. But this is people don't understand that because they view all Democrats as liberals and view all liberals as this type of way, and that's the issue. A lot of us grew up in churches. You know what I'm saying? And black culture is degenerate. But in many ways, as far as our values go, we're not liberal. Even though we may vote that way. Now, when I was a Democrat, I used to spew Democrat talking points. You can literally see it on my Twitter. You can go type in my old tweets. I don't delete old tweets ever. I don't delete old music. I don't delete old tweets. That's like a person in the Bible that's like deleting parts of the Bible because you don't want them to see the struggle to get to where they are now. And I would never do that. And I used to be radical. Then I went through a couple year phase where I was very pro-black. And funny enough, my pro-black phase is what led me to understand how conservative I was. Because if you would have asked me what a conservative was 10 years ago, I would have had no clue what you were talking about. And when I was going through this pro-black phase, I was conflicted. Because I used to watch a lot of Louis Farrakhan, a lot of Malcolm X. And I was like, we should have firearms. But then again, I would watch Democrats and they say we shouldn't. So my views were very conflicting. You can even see that on my old tweets also. And during this phase, I ended up supporting Bernie Sanders, but I hated Hillary Clinton. Oh my goodness, I could not stand Hillary Clinton. I like Bernie because I saw a picture of Bernie fighting for civil rights back in the day. It's so funny how easily a lot of people from where I'm from can get convinced of something. And I was still super pro-black. Like I was like radically pro-black. But the more research I did being pro-black, the less I wanted to be a Democrat. And then it started coinciding at the same time because I was listening to Trump and I liked a lot of the things Trump said. So this was a very weird time. Me and my dad used to argue about Bernie and Hillary. And then, a lot of people say, how could you support Bernie? I didn't know what socialism was. I think the confusion is y'all think people understand what they're doing when they support somebody. A lot of times on the right and the left, that's not true. I didn't know what socialism was. I saw a freaking picture of Bernie Sanders fighting for civil rights. I saw him radical saying he not the establishment, and that resonated with me. I didn't know what he was talking about. Ignorance. People perish due to the lack of knowledge. I was one of those people. But here's the thing. The Bernie Sanders to Donald Trump pipeline is so real, and a lot of y'all don't understand it. I think 20% of Bernie supporters voted for Trump in 2016. A lot of people don't understand why. It's because of the ignorance in presentation. So the presentation was both of them were bombastic, loud, anti-establishment, and that's what was attractive. And I was already no longer a Democrat. By this time, I had already changed my party affiliation to independent because of what I learned in my pro-black stage, which is another reason that made me attracted to Bernie Sanders. Now, the most important part in all of this, and I purposely waited to this point to let you know, I was always a Bible thumper. I was always a Bible thumper. Again, go to my old tweets. I was always anti-LGBT. I was always anti-abortion. I was always these things because I was a Bible thumper. I was a lukewarm Bible thumper, but I knew that Bible. I'm not new to the scriptures. And I was very vocal about my faith, which makes it so much more confusing to people when they figure out that I was a Democrat, because I didn't know. I never read these people's platforms. But I knew one thing, my faith always came first. Ask anybody around me. Even when I was lukewarm, my faith came first. I'm against what I'm against, and I'm not voting on that. I've always been that person. And the reason I told y'all that at this point is to show y'all what happened. I used to debate people on Twitter from a pro-Bernie standpoint, but I never disliked Trump. You can go find old tweets of me praising Trump, but calling Republicans racist, because I was taught Republicans are racist, Democrats like black people. But I never disliked Donald Trump. And I understood I wasn't winning a lot of these debates. So I did what a lot of people don't do. I went to go read Bernie Sanders' platform. Now, this isn't high-level research, but it's a start, And when I went to Bernie Sanders' platform, I saw pro-LGBT, pro-abortion, like anti-godly stuff, and I was just shocked. I was just shocked. Because a lot of Bernie supporters used to call me a fake Bernie supporter because I was too Christian. I never understood why they called me a fake Bernie supporter, but then I realized, oh my goodness, this is fraudulent. And then I started doing more research, and I'm like, I own guns. How can I be anti-gun? And the more you research, the more you evolve. And then what I did is a natural next step. I went to look at the Republicans. I looked at Ted Cruz, and he was talking about God, traditional marriage, and things of this nature. And I said, this sounds more of my vibe. So then you can ask my dad. He saw the evolution. We started arguing more and more and more behind the scenes because I'm starting to realize where my values truly align. Once you realize where your values align, you start doing more research, everything else will follow suit. So I left the Democratic Party. I left liberalism completely because of them being anti-God. And by the way, this was a long time ago. There was no transgenderism during this time. Honestly, the topic was solely about same-sex marriage. One of the reasons I left the Democratic Party is literally because they supported same-sex marriage and Republicans didn't. That's literally one of the main attractions. And when I changed my party affiliation to Republican, I felt so happy. Because I felt like I broke free from chains, from the Democratic plantation. I cannot, and I was so like shocked that I even was supporting this anti-God. Oh, I can't believe I was supporting it. Couldn't believe it. Like a lot of people understand what I'm saying, but when you finally realize you were duped for all your life, you like sort of have like a little bit of pity about yourself. Like, I can't believe I was that dumb. Changed my party affiliations to Republican, and I was so excited to be Republican. I started going to black conservative summits, thinking I finally found people I finally found a lot of people that agree with me. Man, I thought it was so beautiful. I'm skipping a few things in the middle, but that's because I don't need to give you every detail of my evolution. I'm just giving you the main points. And next thing you know, I started getting viral in this movement, right? The funny thing is, bro, is I already had signed up to go to black conservative events before I even went viral. Because honestly, I didn't even care about going viral in this movement. I was just really so excited. I felt like I found like a family outside of my family, you know? And I started going viral. And with popularity comes a lot. If anybody knows how I originally went viral, I was wearing the big MAGA hat. And then Donald Trump posted me on his Instagram, Twitter, and everything, said, "Thank you, Bryson." That's how I went viral. And I wore the big hat to prove a point that I have the freedom of speech and freedom of expression to do what I want, and I will do it, and you will not bully me into not doing it, because I don't know, I didn't grow up around a bunch of punks, so we weren't just scared to wear a shirt or wear a MAGA hat. That's just not how I grew up. And then he posted me. I started getting more popular. I was already making music. My music started getting more popular. The Trump campaign started wanting to work with me. And I used to post a lot of things that would be considered homophobic, and nobody disliked it. Nobody batted it out. It had so many retweets. A lot of people that was conservative, they loved it. They loved that I had a shirt that said Team Jesus. They loved that I was about God in the process. And I thought this was the right place. Everybody said Jesus. Everybody said they were Christian. You know, everybody said these things, and I thought I found a family. This is just how I felt, like, finally. The reason I felt that way, and this is so important, this is why I'm telling y'all the story, I always put God first. Always. There was not one point where that didn't happen. Matter of fact, look this up yourself. My song, God Soldier, is one of the earliest songs I released after going viral. And when I went viral, I had the Team Jesus shirt on, but of course more people paid attention to the big MAGA hat. And when I made God Soldier, I was like, before I get too popular, I need people to know where I stand. And I made God Soldier, and it went viral on Twitter. It did so well on Facebook. Conservatives loved it, and God Soldier may be one of my most controversial songs if you go listen to it. So I thought people knew. as you go along, I started getting surprised. And I don't blame anyone else. I blame me for being too starry-eyed, for being too excited, for being blinded just like I was blinded by the Democrats. Really, to be honest with you, it was just easier for Republicans to blind me because they had the sweet sounding talking points that truly aligned with my values. I was one of Trump's biggest supporters. I was willing to put my life on the line to wear MAGA or Trump stuff out because I didn't care. And it was really because of my freedom of speech. But it's like, why can't I support Trump as a black man? Why can't I? So it wasn't really about Trump. It was about my freedoms. And you can't bully me for what I'm allowed, like for what I can do, my constitutional rights. And it started in like the middle of 2020. A lot of the gay Republicans or gay Trump supporters, they didn't like a lot of things I was saying. It actually started with Brandon Straka. Brandon Straka, he commented on my Facebook page and said, keep your religious bull-ish to yourself. This was 2020. And because, as I've always done on Facebook, is talk about my faith. And the LGBT is one of the biggest attacks on people's faith right now, and is one of the biggest tests for people of faith right now. And I used to always make sure to let it be known where I stand. I'm against same-sex marriage. I'm against gays adopted. I'm against the whole 9 yards. Brandon Straka saw that on my Facebook page and got angry and said, keep your BS to yourself, your religious BS. So me and him got into it. And what was odd is a lot of people were like taking his side. And I was like, what the crap is happening? It wasn't everybody taking his side. But it was like too many people. And I started getting confused. Because I'm like, yo, we're conservatives. We're Christians, right? And then the walkaway people stopped rocking with me. And then it started getting worse from there. Matter of fact, you can go to my song called Right Side, and I talked about it. You can go to my song called Canceled. I talked about it. I started seeing a growing base of conservatives that were supporting the LGBT. And the reason why is simple. And I'm going to be so flat out honest with y'all. Please don't get offended. A lot of us black influencers, part of the reason we got popular, and that's not the whole reason, but part of the reason we got popular is because a lot of conservatives were tired of being called racist. So what better way to prove you're not racist than to show you're a fan of someone black? And this please don't get too uncomfortable. I'm just being honest. And it's not a bad thing, right? Because it is great evidence. But the issue is that same energy transferred over to gay, trans, OnlyFans, whores, the whole thing. And it shouldn't be that way because this is different. Black, it's not a sin to be black. It's abominable to be gay, though. It's abominable to be a harlot. And people started propping up gay people to prove they weren't homophobic. You know, the Democrats are the real racists. The Democrats are the real homophobes. And I used to say this stuff too, because I was caught up in Republicanism. So it's really a reaction to being called names by the left. And it's what conservatives tend to typically do, which is to play defense, right? Reactionary. And the issue, though, is this started causing trouble. So this started getting worse and worse and worse. And the reason why is because more and more gay pro-Trump influencers started getting propped up because one of the plans behind the scenes was for Trump to try to get a lot of the gay vote or the gay sympathy vote. So they started propping up a lot of gay influencers at the same time they started propping up a lot of black influencers. This isn't good for me because I just put, like, honestly, my entire music career on the line for conservatism because I thought this is where I belong, and I can't stay quiet on something. So if you go back, I was one of the main people shown during the Republican National Convention. I went to Florida, and they put me on there along with a lot of other influencers. And during that time, they offered me through Parscale Company, so they can have plausible deniability. They offered to have me perform 2 songs before Diamond and Silk during every Trump rally during 2020. I said I would love to. They said I would get paid. I may be able to get on the jet. It was a lot of beautiful words. And they said they'll have a contract for me ASAP. I said, amazing. Next thing you know, all of the gay Trump supporters banded together, screenshotted my lyrics, screenshotted my tweets, screenshotted things I've said, and all sent it to the Trump campaign. And the Trump campaign chose a side. They contacted me and told me what was going on, and said they can't promote or prop up people that are viewed as homophobic because that's not where the campaign is heading. And they asked me to apologize. Of course, I'm saying, nah, I'm good on that. I'm not apologizing. Won't happen. Again, because the one thing that's very consistent about me throughout my entire evolution is God comes first. God comes first because my core values are from God. Look up my history. God has always came first. And I chose my side. Now, most of y'all would think at this point I would stop supporting Donald Trump or something, but I did not. I did not do that. Because the way I justified it in my mind is that it isn't Trump doing this, it's the people around him doing this, and he's the best option for president. And I happily voted for Trump. But one thing happened during this time to where I openly criticized Trump, and a lot of people got very upset with me on Twitter. The Trump campaign started promoting this video, this commercial, calling Trump the most pro-gay president ever. I know what you're thinking. If this happened, why did you vote for him? Well, I'm going to tell you why. Again, I said this isn't Trump. It's the people around him making bad decisions. And I was right. A week later, they got so much backlash that you never seen that commercial again. Matter of fact, the commercial was almost scrubbed from every person's platform. And that's when I said in my mind, okay, good. They made an error. They understand they made an error. And, we're good. So I justified it. And I continued justifying it as it got worse and worse and worse. And I voted for him. I did. I voted for him. I was happy to. I didn't view it as me choosing between the lesser of two evils. I viewed it as me choosing the good versus the evil. Then I started getting into some debates with Christians because Christians were upset that I was so harsh on the LGBT. And a few of these popular Christian influencers said I was a hypocrite because I would call out Lecrae, but not Trump. So I showed them that I did call out Trump. And then they showed me a picture that honestly I don't even remember happening or seeing. The picture of Trump holding up the LGBTQ flag. And my only justification was that Trump's policies were anti-LGBTQ because that is a fact, his policies were. But honestly, the rhetoric was pretty indefensible. But I justified it. And then as time went on, Trump became more openly pro-LGBT. He said Bruce Jenner can use any bathroom he wants. He wanted to criminalize homosexuality across the globe. Like, that is what? And then in that, the Republican Party in totality started moving the same way. Matter of fact, it got to the point where over 50% of Republicans support same-sex marriage. Now, if you've been listening to this podcast with a clear mind, I hope you're starting to understand the picture. Do you know what happens when you're not a Democrat in the black community? And I'm not talking, because let me say this, I'm not saying this to disparage anybody or anything or to be rude. But a lot of black conservatives, not all, but a lot of them don't really grow up in the black community. And the ones that do understand what I'm saying, especially supporting Trump, you get treated a certain way in the black community. And I was popular where I'm from for being a rapper. So you're treated a certain way, not on the internet. This ain't no internet troll. This is real life people that you grew up with treating you a certain way. And I supported Trump even against that because I thought this was the right thing to do. Not because of my own opinion, but because of my faith in God. Because everything derives from my faith in God. So what do you think someone like me will do when I realize, as I realize with the Democrats, I realize that the people that I'm currently supporting are supporting same-sex marriage and all other types of degeneracy? What do you expect that person to do? People call me traitor. They say I'm giving up. No, just you're not paying attention. You're not listening because you're blinded. And I understand because I was blinded too. But the thing that stops me from being blinded is the thing that has been constant and consistent throughout my entire journey, is that I put God first. I'm in my scripture. I've been in my scripture consistently for years. It was a process changing my life. But I changed it when I read it in the scriptures. I will not go against God for nobody, definitely not no politician, including Donald Trump. As time went on, I realized I could not justify it any longer. Not only has Trump just pretty much given fully into Satan like the Democrats, but the entire Republican Party is going with him. Donald Trump is more liberal than Barack Obama was in his first term on social issues. Barack Obama said marriage is between one man and one woman. Donald Trump do not say that. Donald Trump hosted a gay party at Mar-a-Lago. I would be a hypocrite if I continue supporting that. Period. I can't. My faith won't allow it. You can't be true in your faith and justify it. Proverbs 17:15. Proverbs 17:15. Look at where we are now, though. Now people like Blair White, who is a full-blown Joanna man, he is being propped up by conservatives, and now conservatives are even referring to him as a she because they think he fights against the radical LGBT. How can a transgender fight against the radical LGBT? Listen to yourself. And then I realized something. A lot of these Christians are not actually Christian. They're culturally Christian. They say the word Jesus because it sounds good. They're not in their Bible. And this is why I started waking up, because I've always put God first, and I was able to come out of that blindness I was in. And when I came out of it, I was able to fully see the truth. And like I said, it started getting worse and worse and worse. And I'm going to tell you which was the last straw for me. When Kathy Barnett was running against Dr. Oz, and Donald Trump and his people attacked Kathy Barnett. It's not about them attacking an opponent. It's not even about Dr. Oz being a clear-cut liberal. Because by this time, I've already decided in my mind Trump is a liberal. But look at what they were attacking Kathy Barnett on, and look at who was attacking her. The who is Richard Grenell, one of Trump's right-hand man. Richard Grenell's an unrepentant homosexual that claims to be a Christian. And on Dave Rubin show, he said being gay makes him a better Christian. Being gay makes him a better Christian. And Christians didn't care. Christians say, I love him. And that hurt me right there. And this man attacked Kathy Barnett because she's too Christian. That's literally why they attacked her. And Donald Trump supported this attack campaign on a Christian because she's too Christian. Too extreme, they say. And then when I ask other Christians how do they justify this, they say, well, he's right. She's too extreme to win elections. And it's about winning. Wait. So it's not about conservatism, which will be conserving our values. It isn't about God. It's about winning elections. If it's about winning elections, even though your method is objectively wrong, then you're willing to accept anything. You're willing to accept anything to win the elections, which means you have no values. You have nothing that you stand on. You don't believe in anything. You're a gangbanger. You're a thug. You're a degenerate. All you care about is your team winning, which means you're willing to do anything, stab anybody in the back, support anything. And that was the last straw for me. That was the last straw for me. And now we're at a point to where Republicans are just as demonic as Democrats. And people are saying, Bryson, what does that mean? Well, it's quite simple. Republicans are more liberal than Democrats were 10 years ago, which means Republicans are just Democrats from 10 years ago. They're not conservatives. They're liberals from 10 years ago. And I will not support it. So when I say that I am sitting my behind home in 2024, you can't bully me into thinking otherwise. I don't care if Democrats win. And I know that just irritated you, but let me explain something to you. The United States of America is probably the most demonic country in the world. Not only is this country supportive and pushing and forcing degeneracy on the rest of the country, we're even trying to force other countries to accept and push this degeneracy also, i.e. many countries in Africa. And Donald Trump is a part of that. He said he wants to decriminalize homosexuality across the world. He is a part of the demonic entity trying to push degeneracy on the rest of the world. That is demonic. I'm sorry. Is Trump better than Biden? Yes. Obviously. Trump is an economic genius. When Trump was president, we had the best economics of at least my lifetime. I'm 31. But the facts still remain. There's no middle ground. There is no middle ground. You cannot claim to be of God and be of the world, which means you cannot protect homosexuals and claim you are for God. You are not. You are of the other team. I'm sorry. This is just a reality. And I want my line to be drawn in the sand so clear that it can't be confusing. If that means I'm losing every follower I have, I do not care. If that means I'm no longer MAGA, then screw MAGA then. If that's what y'all want, because this is my favorite MAGA anyway. But if y'all don't want me to be MAGA anymore, then get whatever. Kick me out. I don't care. I don't care. Because I didn't care then when I came out and supported Trump, so why would I care now? If I was willing to go against my own community of people where I grew up with, if I was willing to go against them and support Trump, what you think I'm willing to do for God? Are you crazy? You think you could bully me into choosing the world over God? Are you delusional? Because I won't. So, and if I don't sit home, then I'm going to, matter of fact, I probably won't sit home. I'll probably go write in a name or find some third party person that's a super Christian, and that's who I'm voting for. But I will not be casting my vote dang sure not for no Democrat and dang sure not for no Republican. Because as a Christian, I need you to explain, and this is for my Christians. And I listen, I'm not trying to be rude, because a lot of my friends feel this way, but I need you to make a justification in your mind as a biblical Christian. How can you justify voting for somebody that's clearly going against the agenda of God? And you're doing it because A, you want to win an election, you want your team to win, and B, you want money. So you want economics to be better, which means you think economics is more than our biblical values. Because you can't name to me a difference when it comes to who's against God, a Republican, anybody, Trump, DeSantis, you name them, now than Obama in 2008. You genuinely can't name a difference. I mean, you just can't. It's a hard pill to swallow. It's a hard pill to swallow, but it is true. And I've made my decision no matter what comes, like no matter where that falls, no matter who hates me after that, I genuinely don't care. I am not willing to be on the same team as unrepentant homosexuals to win an election. I would rather be your enemy and focus on the kingdom of God. I thought we could do it through politics, and I still think we can, but not this way. Not this way. Not compromising, all because you want a better economy. Meanwhile, the moral fabric of this country is going to get lost, because nobody can explain to me how this country can become more godly through a Republican. We know it's going to become more demonic through a Democrat, but how won't it become more demonic to a Republican? Because Republicans are more accepting of things now than they were 4 years ago. And that includes Donald Trump. Donald Trump is not going to just turn everything around and go the other way. No, Republicans are headed the liberal way. And you voting for them is just confirming that they will continue heading that way. Because let me explain something to you. Christians, y'all know what we can do. I'm going to make one or two more points, and I'm going to get out y'all here. I can explain to y'all how Christians can do this with politics. Christians are the biggest voter bloc for Republicans. If Republicans lose 20% of the Christian vote, they would never win an election again. The issue is a lot of y'all are thinking short term. That's emotional. You're not thinking with your mind. Short term is never the way to think. Sometimes you have to go through something hard to come out on top. And what I mean is, if all of the biblically sound Christians, I don't care what your denomination is, I don't care if you Trinity, Oneness, Unitarian, Jehovah's Witness, I don't care what you are. When I say believe in the Bible, I mean the morals of the Bible. What God is against, you're against, and what God supports, you support. Simple. If every Christian like that, because no Christian like that will be voting Democrat, but if every Christian like that said, I will be staying home in 2024, Republicans will lose by such a large margin, it'll be crazy. But you know what will happen? They will know that it's because of Christians. And then the next election, they will reverse their path and start pandering to Christians. Start doing what we want. Because y'all get it confused now. Y'all think y'all work for Trump. Trump works for you. And Trump wants to win. He's not going to jeopardize his own winning score sheet or whatever to pander to gays. They're doing it because they think this is the way forward. If Christians show them that it's not the way forward, then of course they will change because they're in it for votes. But Christians are not willing to even risk it for 4 years. Christians can't even come together and change this country. Yes, a Biden economy will suck for 4 more years, but that's what we will need to go through. And to be honest, that is what this country deserves. Unrepentant, and Christians are sitting here still voting for people that's going against God and justifying it in their brain and wonder why God won't bless this country because we don't deserve to be blessed. It's common sense. This country deserves the worst it can possibly get. That's a biblical fact. But if y'all do want to change course, Christians, it is easy to do it. Stay home in 2024. Make it known that we're staying home because the Republican Party have left the values of God. Because they can't make that vote up and watch what happens. But nobody wants to do that. So I will be writing in a name and I will be protesting on my own. I will continue fighting for God. I'm a conservative, naturally. So I will still comment on politics and talk about, conservative values. Like, of course, that's what I'm going to do. I will even still try to give the GOP pointers in hopes that one day they come to reality, because it doesn't benefit me none to say that I won't vote for Trump. Matter of fact, all that does is hurt me. Do y'all know how many people deleted my music, unfollowed me from social media platforms because they think I turned on Trump? You know what I'm saying? They got turned on these people. That benefits me none. I would much rather have all of those fans buying my music. So, it literally doesn't benefit me at all. It actually does the opposite when I say things like this. But as always in my life, I feel like God put me in a position where I have to make a decision. Yes, I could have stayed, compromised my values for a little bit, and kept going number one on the charts whenever I release a song. I could just release a Trump 2024 song and it'll go mega viral instantly because I am the most popular conservative rap artist. But I can't sell my soul. I can't. It's God first. And that's where I stand currently. So that is my message to y'all. This is why I'll probably stay home in 2024. This is why I can no longer support the Republican Party, because it's the same reason I left the Democrat Party. In 10 years, Republicans are going to be saying what Democrats are saying now, and I can't support that. So, if this makes you hate me, whatever. This is my view. It's a free country for me to have it. It's free for you to disagree. I love y'all, even the haters. That's it.